Explosions. Screams. Fear slapped me so hard I crumbled into a small ball. Stop, they screamed. Stop, scream. Stop, the silence was worse. Rolling behind the kitchen counter, I wished I could fit under it. The screaming returned, but this time it sounded like Dudley. Go away. Leave us alone. Go away. Leave me alone. No, 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 no. Pain like knives carving my flesh made me gasp aloud. No, no, no. Potter. The low hiss didn't even frighten me. Somehow I knew who it was, even though the screaming has grown into a soulless shriek. Opening my eyes, I found a potion-stained hand reaching for me, and I rolled to him. I was shaking all over and I could hardly see through the tears. My nose was running, and I wiped it off on my sleeve. It was bloody, and I wondered why until I realized there's blood everywhere. Strong arms enfolded me into a dark robe, and only then did I realize how badly I was shaking. Silence. The sharp tone was little more than a whisper, but I obeyed him at once, trying to stop my sniffing and gasping. He dragged me across the kitchen tile and out the back door before wrapping me in his cloak and lifting me in his arms. I felt safe, so very safe that I laid my head on the broad shoulder and shut my eyes. Nothing bad could happen to me now. Professor Snape might not like me very much, but he had protected me for the last 4 years and I trusted him. Maybe I should tell him that.
I could hardly believe I got him out of there in time. Couldn't it fine simply beg the question? Harry almost got sliced and diced by my fellow Death Eaters while under the supposed wards of his aunt's blood. I barely kept my shudder from disturbing him. The blood was still there, unfortunately. There was none left in her body, or the father's, or, since come to that. Stepping off the property, I dipped into the waiting Volvo with the tinted windows. Harry clung tightly to me, still not having said a word. Probably in shock, I decided and took a deep breath, trying to set him onto the seat away from me. That got a reaction from him, and for a brief moment, he strangled me. Potter, I need to see if you're hurt. I found myself stroking his hair, dislicking the feel of matted blood, coating the silken strands. Pulling my wand from an inside pocket, I muttered a quick diagnostician spell, taught to me by Poppy many years ago. Anemic, bruised and hungry, but not injured was the result. You're going to be fine, P. Harry, but we need to get you cleaned up, so we can get out of here. I felt a small nod, and a slight lessening of his grip. Casting a hasty cleaning incantation, I decided to go with a wardrobe change, too. They were going to be looking for him. Another spell and he started and wiggled a little at the new feel. Even though I'd rarely been in such danger, I couldn't resist indulging in my secret fantasy kink. He might hex me, or he might be in such shock he'd let it go for now. Slowly he pulled a few inches away, and looked down at the new crisp white blouse, short red plaid skirt, white knee socks, and little black patent leather Mary Janes. Wow, I look like a girl, was all he said, leaving his hands loosely linked about my neck. My throat tightened at his acceptance. They'll be looking for a 14-year-old boy with glasses and short black hair. Another spell and his hair lengthened and curled into ringlets on his shoulders. I'll be wearing Muggle clothing and looking rather more athletic than I normally do. A spell shortened my hair to above my ears, and another put me into jeans and a buttoned-down Henley aubergine. Now, put your glasses in your purse, Harry. I slid under the wheel, leaving my hand on his arm, in case he was still frightened. I'm going to drive us to another town, where I've got a safe house set up. Does Dumbledore know where it is, Professor? He said, sliding a little closer to me, but obediently taking off his glasses and tucking them into the patent leather purse, which matched his shoes. No, he doesn't. Starting the car, I pulled away from the house of death and sedately drove west. I'm sorry I didn't get there sooner. I'm still alive, he said quietly, and I felt a small hand creep back onto my arm.
It felt so unreal to watch Professor Snape driving the car, a Muggle car. It felt even odder to be wearing girls' clothes. My skirt didn't even cover my knees, and I wiggled a little to feel the soft underwear against my skin. It bound to me differently than the worn-out wife fronts I'd worn all my life. I had the urge to lift up my skirt to look at them, but my life was already too weird. Touching the professor made it seem more real, and he didn't seem to mind my clinging to his arm. I set my purse. I had a purse. How odd was that, on the seat beside me, and realized I didn't have my seatbelt on. I had to scoot a little over to the door to reach for the hanging part, and my skirt slid up almost to my crotch. Blushing, I tugged it down and tried to pretend it was like a pair of shorts. "Here, I'll get that for you." His voice was still soft and caring, and it made me feel warm all over. His hand helped me tug it down and click it closed between us. His fingers brushed against my thigh, and I caught my breath at the sudden flare of heat. I did that now and then to myself, but only when it was really, really dark and I knew everybody was asleep. But not even my hand felt that good. I was blushing. I just knew it, and I hoped he wouldn't notice. "We're driving to a town called York, in northern England." His voice was velvety smooth, and I listened carefully. "I'm known as a painter there, one who works on commission. That is one way to explain my frequent absences. You will be my niece, come to stay with me, while my sister, your mother, recuperates from an operation. I'll be Uncle John since my name here is John Aberfierce." "What name would you like to go by?" I thought hard and fiddled with the edge of my skirt. "Mary is kind of like Harry. That way I won't forget the answer to it." "What kind of painter are you?" He chuckled, and I thought his smile was really nice. What little I could see of it without my glasses. "I paint portraits of famous people." "Mary will do nicely." "Have you thought of doing something about your eyesight? Is there something magic?" I asked eagerly. "I hate wearing glasses, and lately they don't seem to be working as well as they used to." He growled a little, and I bit my lip at the thought I'd angered him. Those damn muggles have a lot to answer for, Harry. "Yes, there is something that can be done, and I'll perform the spell when we reach home." "Are they dead?" I had to hear the words, even though I was pretty sure I knew the answer.
"They're dead, Harry." I said it flatly, and watched him out of the corner of my eye. Driving took all my concentration, and I rarely did it, but the trains wouldn't be safe right now, and none of my fellow Death Eaters knew I could drive a car. No one in the magical world knew. It was not your fault, and there was nothing you could have done to stop them. Your battle is not yet to be fought. He rubbed his nose, and I fished out a handkerchief. "Blow, Harry." Taking it, he blew hard and crumbled it up in his hand. "Sorry, Professor, I'll try not to be so weepy. You're entitled to cry, Harry." I softened my voice even more, and caught his wondering look up at me. Those lustrous green eyes shone with tears, and it was all I could do not to stop the car and pull him into my arms. Being sad and sorry is exactly the way you should be feeling right now. If you need to cry, then do so. I shall not condemn honest emotion. I only wish I could allow myself more of the softer feelings. "Thank you," he said quietly, and even though the seatbelt bisected his boyish chest, he leaned into my arm, resting his head against my sleeve. "Maybe once it has set in, I'll be able to cry for them. Right now, I feel kind of numb, but also..." He blushed and went back to plucking at his skirt hem, which had raised halfway up his smooth thigh again. I was going straight to hell for what I was thinking, but then I always knew that was my ultimate destination. But right now, I feel free and kind of light. His face tilted up to me, and I gripped the steering wheel tightly so I didn't do something inappropriate. "I trust you to keep me safe, Professor. I am very grateful for your acceptance." I smiled down into his kitten-like face, and was rewarded with a shy grin. "After my abominable treatment during the school year, I feared you wouldn't allow me to help, or trust me to get you away. You had to act that way or everyone would have known you were a spy for Dumbledore. He leaned in a little harder. I grew up a lot last month and took a good look at who had always protected me, even when it meant you had to do things you didn't want to. I wanted to say thank you, but didn't know how or when. I swallowed the sudden lump in my throat. That is quite the nicest apology I've ever received, Harry. Thank you for making this so easy. He squirmed a little and smoothed his skirt with both hands. Professor, could we stop for a bathroom break? I need to go really badly. 10 minutes to Little Pickford, and we can stop for an early tea break. I picked up the speed and spared a thought for his first time in a woman's bathroom. Oh, to be a little mouse, to see how he handled it. Now remember to call me Uncle John, Mary.